Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. I have been solving GMAT data sufficiency problems out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, the 12th edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You should be able to find it at mba.com. The problem that I'm about to solve is the one that you're going to find on page number 276, very first problem on the page 276. I need to change this. Page 276, number 36. It says for all integers n, so we know that n, whatever it is a whole number because they tell us for all integers n, the function f is defined as, and then they give you the function. The function looks like this. What does function mean? Do you know? Function is just a very fancy way of saying a relationship between two variables. For example, if I tell you that y equals 3 times x, that is a function between x and y. And this is how we write it. We say that y is a function of x. It is also function of x. It's also sometimes read as this part. It's also sometimes read as f of x. That's how you read it, f of x, which simply means it's a function of x, which is another way of saying, it's a very fancy way of saying that the value of the y depends on the value of the x. That's all. So here we have a function. A relationship exists between the variable n, independent. This is the independent variable because the value of this whole function. Let's give it a number here. Let's call it y. So the value of the y here depends on the value of the n. Whatever the n is will dictate the value of the y because we have a constant a, we're going to raise it to that some power, and that value will be the value of the dependent variable. I don't know if I'm doing a very good job explaining or not. The question simply is, you see they tell you a is a constant. The question simply is, what is f of 1? Question is, what is f of 1? Let's put this here. In other words, what is the value of the function when the independent variable n equals 1? That's what they're saying. What is the value of this function when the independent variable n assumes a value of 1? That's what they want to know. But we cannot answer that question until we know what a equals to. So one of the two statements hopefully will help us in figuring out what a equals to. Either the first statement by itself, or the second statement by itself, or putting the two statements together. Or perhaps neither of them will do any good, in which case the answer would be E. Let's take a look at it. The first statement tells me us that f of 2 equals 100. Let's put it here first. A, D, B, C, E. So that we keep track of our inventory. So f of 2 equals 100. Let's put it here. We know that this equals f of n equals a raised to n, and that we have just been told equals 100. So the value of the n here is 2. So where I see n, that's your n. So I can replace it with 2. Does that help us in determining the value of a? Because we need to figure out the value of a, the constant, before we can answer this question. Once I know what a is, for example, if it turns out that a is 10, then we can put 10 in here, then f of 1 would be 10 raised to 1. F of 1 would be 10 raised to 1. F of 2 would be 10 raised to 2. F of 5 would be 10 raised to 5, and so on and so forth. Does that tell you what a is? Does this tell you that a equals 10? Some people in their haste will say, yes, from this equation we can figure out that a equals 10. You're being too hasty. For example, let me give you a simple example. If I tell you that x squared equals 9, how much is x? Pause this video if you have to for a second. Think about it. And once you have the answer as to what x is, come back and resume where you left off. How much is x? If you told me that x is 3, that's only half the answer. X is 3 here, and x could also be negative 3. Negative 3 squared equals 9, and positive 3 squared equals 9. So here, this is how we write it. We say that x equals not positive 3 by itself or negative 3 by itself, but it could be positive 3 or negative 3. This is how we write it. The same logic would apply here. This statement implies that a equals either a positive 10 or a negative 10. I need to erase this thing now. A equals either a positive 10 or a negative 10. Since we do not know which one it is, we cannot figure out the value of a. It's positive 10 or negative 10. We do not know. And since we do not know a, we cannot figure out f of 1. The first statement by itself is not enough. Alas. Since the first statement by itself is not enough to answer the question, answer cannot be a, nor can it be d. Let's look at second statement. F of 3 equals negative 1000. Ah, there we go. Now we're going someplace. And we know that f of 3 would be a raised to 3. We replace the n with 3, n equals 3. So a raised to 3 equals negative 1000. That tells us that a must be negative 10 times negative 10 times negative 10 equals negative 1000 equals negative 1000. You see? The negative 10 times negative 10 is positive 100, and positive 100 times negative 10 would be negative 1000. So this statement, this equation here implies that a must be negative 10. There we go. That was the problem here. We could not tell whether it's a positive 10 or negative 10. Once we know that a is negative 10, we can figure out f of 1, which we don't have to. We're not going to, but we can easily figure it out. And if you're curious, I'm going to quickly show it to you. Now that we know that a is negative 10, f of 1 would be negative 10 raised to 1, which is simply negative 10. That's all it is. Actually, this was not much in there. That's all. So the second statement by itself actually does the job. But the first statement by itself did not do the job. First statement misled us into thinking that a equals 10. A does not necessarily equal 10. A could have been 10. It turned out not to be the case, but it could have been. All we could take from the first statement is that a is either 10 or negative 10. Second statement, a would have to be negative 10 because that's the only way you're going to get a negative at the end product of three numbers. It has to be a negative number. And that was all. A is a negative 10. That's it. So the answer here is B. Second statement by itself is enough. The answer is B. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, either face-to-face tutoring or tutoring over the internet through Skype or the telephone, or if there is anything at all I can help you with your preparation for GMAT, go to my website at www.for4gmat.com and send me an email. Or you can go to www.keshwaniprep.com. Alright? Thank you.